rise to challenge the obstinacy of our colleagues on the other side of the aisle to prevent us from doing anything that can help ordinary families in our country get back on their feet and succeed. As a matter of fact, it was very clearly stated by the minority leader, the Republican leader, to tell us that his number one priority, imagine that, the leader of the Republican Party in the United States Senate, his number one priority is to make sure that President Obama is a one-term president. And I ask, what is that? What good is that to the people who don't have jobs, or the people whose mortgages are about to be foreclosed, or their kids can't get an education no matter how smart they are because it's impossible to afford it? Imagine. And stated proudly on the floor of this Senate that the mission is to destroy the presidency. Shame on you. His number one priority, not to create jobs, preventing another financial crisis, or keeping our children safe and healthy. It's just that cynical goal of destroying the presidency, no matter how much harm, no matter how much pain these actions inflict on our general population. It's a disgrace. And what we've seen what the Republicans are willing to do to accomplish this goal. They brought our nation to the brink of default. They shut down the Federal Aviation Administration. They had to be dragged kicking and screaming to extend the payroll tax cut, just to name a few of the most egregious examples. Now, the Republican mission appears to be punishing the American people with longer waits in the courtrooms for judgments to be concluded. There are currently 74 federal judicial vacancies waiting to be filled. In other words, nearly 1 in 11 federal judgeships across this country are vacant. These vacancies are not some abstract problem that only lawyers and academics care about. Judicial vacancies deny everyday Americans and businesses the justice and redress our Constitution guarantees, and millions of them have had their cases delayed. At a time when our economy is making a fragile recovery, we cannot afford to have a legal system that makes it more difficult for businesses to get legal judgment certainty about their rights and responsibilities, to move their operations, for instance, to full gear, perhaps. But now we've learned that the Senate Republicans are committed to making matters even worse. Roll call reports that at yesterday's weekly luncheon of the Conservative Steering Committee, Minority Leader McConnell decided to stop all circuit court confirmations. How can our democracy function when we can't even put judges in the courtroom? The very next nominee in line to be formed the circuit court is a highly qualified nominee from New Jersey, and we need her on the bench now. Magistrate Judge Patty Shwartz has been nominated to serve on the Third Circuit Court of Appeals. Her nomination was favorably reported by the Judiciary Committee on March 8th, nearly 100 days ago. They refused to let us take it up. For more than 3 months, she's waited patiently for a confirmation vote. She's anxious to get to work here, and we need her, while the Republicans in the Senate play games with the confirmation process. And now, Judge Shwartz is on the verge of receiving a vote and filling a critical vacancy. The Republicans have pulled the rug out to make sure that she doesn't sit there. It's not fair to the judge, to Judge Schwartz, or to the people of New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware who deserve to have a fully staffed federal bench. And it sends a particularly noxious message to the women of this country. If confirmed, Patty Shwartz would fill a void. It would be the second woman ever to represent New Jersey on that appeals court. This obstruction is especially outrageous given this person's record of skill and competence and admiration that Judge Schwartz has earned in the legal community. Her nomination has received strong bipartisan support in our state. Her supporters include Republican Governor Chris Christie, and he's a former United States attorney in New Jersey, and he says Judge Patty Shwartz has committed her entire professional life to public service, and New Jersey is better for it. His statement. And if Governor Christie and I agree on someone, you know she's really got to be good. And we're not the only ones who feel so strongly about Patty Schwartz's stellar qualifications for the bench. John Lacey, who was the past president of the Association of the New Jersey Federal Bar, said that Judge Schwartz, and I quote, is thoughtful, intelligent, has an extraordinarily high level of common sense. Thomas Curtin, chairman of the Lawyers Advisory Committee for the U.S. District Court of New Jersey, said, and I quote him, "Every lawyer in the world will tell you she's extraordinarily qualified, a decent person, and an excellent judge." The American Bar Association clearly agrees. They gave her their highest rating of unanimously well qualified. A review of Judge Schwartz's experience shows why she has earned such respect and praise. Since 2003, Patty Shwartz has served as a U.S. magistrate judge in the District of New Jersey, where she's handled more than 4,000 civil and criminal cases. She graduated from Rutgers University with the highest honors from the University of Pennsylvania Law School, where she was an editor of the Law Review and was named her class's Outstanding Woman Law Graduate. As Governor Christie said, Patty Shwartz has devoted her entire career to public service, and preventing her from doing so will only hurt American people in our area, in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, only hurt those people seeking justice and our very system of democracy. Madam President, it's often been said, justice delayed is justice denied. It's a lesson that people in New Jersey and all the country are learning, and it's got to stop. All Americans should be aware of the price that they pay for the obstruction of the Republicans on their side of the aisle. When these confirmations are blocked, it's not just nominees that suffer. The justice system suffers under the weight of vacancies, and the American people suffer longer waits for justice in overburdened courts. It's time for Republican politicians to stop blocking votes on these well-qualified nominees and allow the United States Senate to confirm them without further delay. And make no mistake, I take very seriously the Senate's constitutional duty of advice and consent regarding presidential nominees. I do not believe that the Senate should rubber stamp judicial nominees without consideration or deliberation. However, what we see today is an unprecedented level of obstruction in confirming judges. At this point in the term of President George W. Bush's presidency, the Senate had confirmed 179 judges, 28 more than the 151 of President's nominees who have been confirmed to date. And President Obama's nominees have been forced to wait approximately 4 times as long as President Bush's nominees to be confirmed after being favorably reported by the Judiciary Committee. We didn't, when we had the numbers favoring our majority, we didn't permit delays like this. We never would use that as a punishment for a presidency that we disagree with. As a result, the vacancy rate is nearly twice what it was at this point in President Bush's first term. These delays and destroyed tactics cannot be what our founding fathers had in mind when they gave us the power of advice and consent. I'm the son of immigrants who came to this country, and I got the message often from my parents and my grandparents to come to America, find a better way of life than you had in Russia or Poland, where their birthplace. And I view our justice system as a nation's premier institution. It demonstrates so well what America's about. Now, I am proud that a courthouse in Newark, New Jersey, bears my name. It has an inscription that I authored, and we spent a lot of time talking about the inscription ought to look like. And I came up with this: the true measure of a democracy is its dispensation of justice. When people walk in that courtroom, they have to know that they have an equal chance at a proper decision like anybody else. And there shouldn't be the discrimination that exists when we don't fill vacancies that are begging to be filled with qualified candidates. All in this chamber know when the dispensation of justice is obstructed and delayed, our democracy suffers. And so, Madam President, I plead with our Republican colleagues, stop the obstruction. Allow the Senate to vote on Judge Patty Shwartz's confirmation without further delay, and put off your attempt to discredit the President Obama's tenure as president. That doesn't fit in here. You want to do it in the political mainstream. You want those wild gestures and those ridiculous claims that they want to destroy President Obama's tenure. No, don't do that. Don't do that to the American people. Be fair. Do your job. Let's get on with it. With that, I yield the floor.